mean, Paul is not really trying to keep women quiet. If you look at the corpus of Paul's writings, he has women associates and women who prophesy and in the early church. So I think he's talking about a particular situation
that
people have universalized to exclude. I mean, it's easier to universalize to exclude than to include, interesting enough for some people. I'd rather universalize to exclude. That's what it means to universalize, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, Donald Trump someday may even have a mystical experience and start shouting, and you know, he's a little worried about his soul right now. He made a comment.
It does seem that way.
You know, a little worried about his soul. Maybe if he stopped a war, he'd get a place in heaven in glory land. Maybe even there, if you know, I happen to believe that, in quotes, the people I don't like have to be loved by God too, and so I choose to pray for Donald Trump without any goal in mind other than that God be at work in his life. Why doesn't God heal everyone? Isn't that a challenge?
That's a great question.
And because it's sure, you know, the world has a lot of God in it, and it has a lot of the opposite, or maybe not even the opposite, that which is leaning toward God in ways that are dysfunctional. God
and there's a lot of spiritual injury
yes,
based on that concept, like, well, I didn't have enough faith, that's why God didn't heal my mother, or something like that. Or
God, boy, isn't that abusive?
Heal my child because I guess I didn't pray hard enough. And when you start getting into that, it could really inflict moral harm on people, spiritual wounds on people.
And it's a refusal to see that life is often complicated, and that there's many causes that enter into this moment of experience. And there's a larger story going on than we can fathom. I don't think that illness or cancer or car accidents or even the election of presidents is fully God-willed. You know, God's working in the interstices of things toward the best. But God gets resistance. I mean, as when you study the Bible, you'll discover that if you take the Bible stories seriously, especially the Hebraic scriptures, the First Testament, God doesn't seem to win too many battles along the way. The long haul may be in God's hands, but the children of Israel are constantly, if God says X, they're going to go Y. And it's a very honest description of the human condition, that we know the good but don't do it. Or we know we're made for love, but it's a lot easier just to be concerned about myself and my people. And you know, there still has to be the hope that even the most abject sinner among us, which might be me some days, I don't know, is also loved by God. I still believe we have to resist the domination system. We have to resist any form of sexism or misogyny or racism or homophobia or environmental ecocide. We have to resist that in whatever way we're called to do. But we also have to be prophetic healers. Again, back to Howard Thurman, who did read a little bit of Whitehead, by the way, and he quotes Whitehead in one of his books, interestingly enough. I had to look for it because I forgot where it was, and then I asked my friend Tony Hunt up there in Baltimore. He's also an adjunct at Wesley. Said, "Can you find that Whitehead spot in there?" Because I was working on a book on Thurman and Whitehead, and said, "Yeah." And you know, Thurman actually coined a term that I didn't know he coined, and then I used it, and now I have to attribute to him whenever I use it. He used the term holy adventure one time in his corpus. I've read almost all of Thurman, dealing with Christmas. And, life is a holy adventure. It's a holy adventure. And Thurman, said we have to, when we resist, make life sometimes difficult for the people who are oppressing. But we have to also remember they're God's children too.
Right.
And
don't become a monster to defeat a monster.
Yeah, we have to sometimes he uses the term shock treatment. Use a shock treatment to help them realize that they are akin to the people they're oppressing. and that they can't be saved at the end of the day until the other is saved. That salvation is never individual. It's personal, not individual. It's corporate. It's all of us. The Temptations one time, if you know the Temptations, once had this song, if there's a hell below, we're all going to go.
Yes.
And Nixon says, so it was written in the Nixon era. So I've got to go back now and turn on YouTube or Spotify and listen to this. But if there's a hell below, we're all going to go, which is a way of saying that we are in this together, that fabric of interdependence of life, as Whitehead says, as King says, and King was a wonderful communicator of other people's ideas. That's not a critique of King, by the way. But he wrote his thesis on Henry Nelson Wyman, who was a process theologian. So when you think of that fabric of relationships, I cannot be what I'm intended to be until you are what you're intended to be, and you can't till I am. That's pure process theology. He said it in a way better than most process theologians could, and he deserves great kudos for that. But that Ubuntu, that interdependence of life, we're all in it together. We are because of one another.